Is debt beating you down? You need discipline. You need the Debt Ninja. If you've been caught in a financial trap and need to be set free, then you need the Debt Ninja. Want to stop those harassing collection calls, start saving thousands in interest and fees, and get out of debt fast? Then you need to call the Debt Ninja. The Debt Ninja will find the best companies across the country that will help you consolidate all your bills into one easy payment, reduce your payments by 30 to 50%, and get you out of debt fast. If you have unsecured debt of $10,000 or more, such as credit cards, loans, or medical bills, call the Debt Ninja for a free 15-minute consultation.
Call 800-826-1246. 800-826-1246. That's 800-826-1246. Call today.
The Debt Ninja.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark. The leader in talk radio on the internet, right here on K98Talk.com.
My name is Jessie. I'm a United States Special Forces widow. This gives me a unique perspective on the world around us. If you're willing to listen, I'll tell you how I see it, and I won't pull any punches. This is my POV, which stands for Point of View. All right, this is Jessie. I am so happy to be back with you. For the second time in 2 days, I had an audio glitch get in my way. Technical gremlins trying to stop me from getting on the air. Wonder if the NSA is involved. I doubt it, but it's always fun to speculate. Alright, so thank you for bearing with me through that rough start. I have several stories I'm gonna bring to you today. Oh yeah, as I've said previously, if you've ever listened to this show, terrorism doesn't take a day off. And I often wonder if terrorists can change their stripes, but some of them may be capable of it. We're going to talk about that later. So, I've got a couple of interesting stories. Like I said, we're going to get to them in time. Alright, let's first cover something a little closer to home. The Bergdahl court-martial. Notice I said court-martial, not trial, as Bo Bergdahl is being tried by the United States Army, and that is the proper term. He is being tried in what is called a general court-martial, and that is the most serious form of military trial. And it's the one that can kind of send you to prison. Now, I wasn't able to get any audio on this, but Bergdahl's defense attorneys argue that comments from military leaders and lawmakers have influenced the way the Army is handling the case. The Army rejected a recommendation from an Army investigating officer that the case be heard by a special court-martial. What's the difference? Special court-martial is limited in the punishments it can impose. At the hearing, Nance strongly suggested that the prosecutors help defense attorney arrange an interview with General Robert Abrams, the leader of the Forces Command, who decided in December to proceed with the general court-martial. And for those of you who do not know, the court-martial will be held at Fort Bragg. So, I've got one more story on this. It's from a local Fort Bragg newspaper. Let me see. Yeah, it goes a little more in depth. It's from the Fayetteville Observer. So, though the government's lawyers, Colonel Jeffrey Nance, a military judge overseeing... Through the government's lawyers, Colonel Jeffrey Nance, the military judge overseeing Bergdahl's case, urged Abrams to talk to the defense team. The suggestion came during a motions hearing Thursday when the defense asked the judge to compel government lawyers to turn over email correspondence from the Secretary of Defense down to several general officers regarding Bergdahl's case. The lawyers have argued there's a strong influence of several high-ranking Army and political leaders that could impact the court-martial. Bergdahl is charged with desertion with intent to shirk important or hazardous duty and misbehavior before the enemy by endangering the safety of a command unit or place. He is yet to make a plea or decide if he wants a trial by judge or jury. He was last in court the end of May for a pretrial motions hearing. During that hearing, Nance ruled that prosecutors must post unclassified documents related to the court-martial online. The defense earlier this year launched its own website, the Bergdahl Docket, to host court documents related to the case. For those of you who do not remember, Bergdahl walked off a remote post in Afghanistan in 2009 and was subsequently held by the Taliban for 5 years. He was released in May 2014 in exchange for prisoners being held at the U.S. military prison at Guantanamo Bay. Alright, we released 5 high-value Gitmo detainees for someone who walked off a military base. Do you even want me to go into that rant? I don't think so. I could take the whole rest of the show. Instead, I've got something interesting. And we're going to take a quick listen because there were more attacks in Bangladesh. Yes, as I said, terrorism never takes a holiday. There were attacks in Bangladesh marking the end of the Muslim holiday Eid. Let's take a listen to this and we'll discuss it afterwards.
Right now, police are saying that they have the group of attackers surrounded inside of a house. That after the attackers approached this security gate, which was about a kilometer away from the country's largest prayer gathering to mark the end of Eid. And officials are now saying there were some 300,000 people who were there to pray. They say that no civilians were injured. However, 10 police officers have been injured. 1 police officer has been killed. 1 attacker has been killed. The rest remain surrounded. Investigators say that the attackers came and approached security armed with guns and also hurling explosives, Rosemary.
Alexandra, the Bangladeshi government has denied to this point that ISIS is evident in its country. What are government authorities saying about this now, given this is playing out?
Look, because this is still ongoing, they say it is too early to try and determine who the attackers are. But for some context here, we know that ISIS has called for attacks during the holy month of Ramadan. We know that they also claimed responsibility for the attack that happened in Dhaka less than a week ago. And Rosemary, these are 2 very different styles of attack. The attack just a week ago was on expats largely, mostly foreigners killed who were inside a restaurant in the Gulshan district here in Dhaka, which is an affluent area full of expats. It's a diplomatic enclave. The target today, this Eid gathering, the largest in the country. 300,000 Muslims would have been in attendance there. We understand that they did not get past the security checkpoint, that the attack happened on the police who were stationed outside there. As you point out, government officials have repeatedly said that they don't believe that ISIS operates in Bangladesh. They said that in the aftermath of the attack at that restaurant, and they have said that after a series of attacks targeting specific people who have been hacked to death in Bangladesh over the last year or 2, despite the fact that ISIS has also claimed responsibility for some of those killings. Instead, Rosemary, what we continue to hear from government officials is that they believe that domestic terror groups are behind these killings, specifically a locally banned Islamist group.
All right, so if you recall from the previous attack in Bangladesh, the government said there is no ISIS in their country and the attacks were carried out by quote-unquote derailed youth. Derailed youth? Really? Is that what we're calling ISIS these days? I'm sorry. These attacks were carried out by terrorists. They were yelling, Aloha Snack Bar. There's reason to believe they were inspired and or trained by the Islamic State, Daesh, whatever you want to call them. These weren't misguided youths. They were terrorists. Bangladesh, can I borrow your rose-colored glasses? Might make my life look better. Not sure how much it would be believable, but, come on. All right, I got a little bit more information from an article I'm going to read bits and pieces of to you. Terror struck Bangladesh for the second time within a week as the Muslim-majority nation celebrated the festival of Eid on Thursday. An explosion was followed by heavy gunfire between police and militants near a mass prayer ground in Korsagani, a district about 100 kilometers from the capital of Dhaka. More than 200,000 people had gathered for Eid, a festival marking the end of the holy month of fasting of Ramadan. At least 2 policemen and 1 woman were killed, with many more injured, according to local media. An unidentified attacker was also reported killed. The female victim, a member of the minority Hindu community, was hit by a stray bullet that penetrated her house. That is according to the internet news site bdnews24.com, adding that a suspect with bullet wounds had been detained. A liberal imam who is leading the prayer services at the Sholakaya ground, which hosts the nation's largest Eid congregation, was believed to have been the target. According to some reports, The attack followed the deadly siege at a popular Dhaka cafe last Friday when a group of terrorists. Notice this article says terrorists. It is not from the Bangladesh newspaper. It is from one in the region. Killed 22 people, 20 of them civilians. The dead included 9 Italians, 7 Japanese, and an Indian national. And I've also heard reports of an American that are not, at least 2 Americans that were not included in this article. The Eid attack took place around 9:30 a.m. local time, 30 minutes before the prayers, which went on as scheduled. The terrorists' aim is to weaken social resistance against extremism, creating panic in people's mind. The Imam Maulana Faradim Musad told the official BSS news agency. Bangladeshi authorities recently detained several thousand people in a nationwide anti-terrorism drive. The crackdown in the country of 160 million was launched after a series of attacks by the suspected Islamic militants on liberal activists, secular bloggers, and religious minorities. Many of the killings have been claimed by the Islamic State group and Al-Qaeda, but the government denies these organizations are active in Bangladesh. It says these are the works of homegrown Islamic militants. This attack came despite the heightened security procedures after the attack at the Dhaka Cafe, which was popular with foreign diplomats and tourists. Neighboring India's president condemned the attack in Khosrow. The government of India will strongly stand by our brothers and sisters of Bangladesh in this fight. In a statement, we extend every possible support to enable the Bangladesh government to defeat these forces whose goal is to spread hatred, chaos, and instability. Okay. In a related note, and this just hit the wires, I'm just pulling it up, so bear with me. It looks like there's been an attack in Iraq, Salahuddin province at a holy shrine. Literally, this just came across the news ticker on my phone. Give me a minute to see what I can find on it. But I mean, really, Bangladesh, do you guys have rose-colored glasses? I mean, really? Really? Misguided use? All right, this is all I have on this latest attack. And like I said, it is very much breaking news. A militant gun and bomb attack in a holy shrine in the Iraqi province of Salahuddin has left a number of people dead and injured. According to Iraqi security forces, 3 bombers detonated their explosives near the holy shrine of Sayyid Muhammad in the city of Balad late on Thursday night, killing at least 10 Iraqis and wounding many others. Did I mention terrorism never takes a holiday? And this information came from Press TV, which is an Iranian English news source. So I always believe that when I do something that's like this and it's an interesting source, I'd better cite it. I am checking other sources for information as we speak. I mean, really, terrorism doesn't take off for any holiday. Not even the Muslim ones. Okay, let's see, breaking news just came out with the same story, but they're saying 20 people killed. As you know, if you've ever had to deal with a breaking news story, the numbers change. Okay? The numbers change. They change rapidly. And of course, ISIS has been up to their usual antics. Let me see what the breaking news app, if it has any more details, Hey, I do this show with my phone right next to me for just such an occasion. Oh, let's see. It just says Iraqi security forces, at least 20 killed in an attack on the Shiite mausoleum north of Baghdad. From Reuters. So, like I said, it is very much breaking news. I mean, and the only other thing I'm able to find on it at present is that it was a Shiite holy site north of Baghdad, killed at least 7. That death toll is now up to 20, according to breaking news. Like I said, when I said breaking news, I meant breaking news. This came out literally while I was on the air with you. And that's my goal. When things like that break while I'm talking to you, I will break away from what I'm doing and turn to that topic if it's something I feel I can cover adequately. So, all right. Now, in other news, I will keep an eye on my phone, and if I get more news updates about the terror attack in Iraq, I will come back to it. But for now, we're going to move on. All right. Got that one. Sorry, I'm mumbling to myself just a bit. Waiting for my web browser to reload a page. Gotta love it. Gotta love it when the web browser crashes. Or tries to, anyway. Alright, like I said, Bangladesh, I need your rose-colored glasses. Now, more terrorism news. Did I mention terrorism doesn't take a holiday for anybody's holiday? All right. This is about the Brussels bombing. And I've got some audio on that. Why don't we take a listen while I get this news article pulled back up?
Breaking news in Belgium. Authorities say now they have that third suspect from the Brussels airport bombing that led to the deaths of 30 people. The bombing that took place there at the airport as well as in the subway. The third suspect, the person being circled there, the man in the hat, Mohammed Abrini, arrested during recent raids, now admitting, according to Brussels authority, to be the man in the hat. We'll continue our coverage now with CNN intelligence expert Bob Baer, as well as Fred Pleitkin, who's been covering this story since it happened a month ago. So, Fred, back to you on the details that we're now learning. Authorities revealing that he admits to being the man in the hat, the man in the trench coat there. But under what circumstances did this admission come?
Yeah, it was interesting, Frederica. When we spoke to the federal prosecutor, Eric van der Sipt, a couple of minutes ago, he really made a point to tell us that this was not something that was only relying on circumstantial evidence. He said that this was more than them just doing the tests and facial recognition as well. They made clear that that he actually admitted to this after being confronted with some of the evidence that they presented. Now, they said most of that was indeed electronic facial recognition tools that they used. And then when he was confronted with it, at some point he said, yes, it is me on that picture. And then later also apparently told them the exact way that he then left that airport. And it's interesting because remember, a couple of days ago, there was that video that was put out by the Belgian authorities that essentially showed that man in the hat leaving the airport and then going all the way into the town fairly casually. And he now described that is exactly what he did, that he dumped his coat, and that he essentially sold that hat that he was wearing, which apparently was also part of that disguise. The authorities here Of course, they're going to continue to question him. He has now been charged with being part of a terrorist operation, and so certainly they can keep him in detention. We'll keep trying to squeeze information out of him, not just, of course, about the Brussels attacks, but about the Paris attacks as well, where he, of course, is also implicated as having been the person to essentially drive Salah Abdeslam and some of the others to Paris to conduct those attacks.
All right. Got my browser working, so I've got a little bit more detail that the audio didn't cover. He was the sole survivor among the terrorists who attacked Brussels on March 22nd. And Belgian TV network gained access to the transcripts, which I will attempt to look over after we get off air, and see which covered the police and judicial questioning of Mohammed Abrini on April 9th and 10th, several hours after he was arrested. Abrini, known as the man in the hat, was seen on surveillance video from the Brussels airport with the two suicide bombers before they detonated their devices. Now, as we have discussed previously, it is not uncommon for there to be a, quote, handler to go along with the suicide bombers. What if they back out? What if their explosive doesn't detonate properly? What if they can't reach the switch? Whatever. The handler will usually remote detonate the device. So, anyway, he also spoke of his movements after the attacks and the airport and a metro train, the Belgian capitals, in which a total of 30 some odd people were killed. I think the number said 32. He linked the cells between Paris and Brussels, and he said he just hung out in a park in Borst before he was arrested. I mean, really? So, I mean, Abrini is also accused of having rented an apartment where two of the attackers stayed. I mean, this guy is up to his eyeballs in this attack. And I will attempt to bring you more on it at a later point in time. So, they are getting information from him on how he evaded them and everything else, which at present doesn't sound like it was that hard. I hate to say it, guys. It sounds like you might have dropped the ball. Just a wee bit if he was able to hang out in a park. Come on. You think you might have checked the park a few times? And he says every day he passed soldiers not covered with a covered face, but with a cap on. And he was eventually arrested in the same area on April 9th. And remember, I said those transcripts are from the 9th and 10th. Abrini also spoke about during the interrogation about Salah Abdeslam, who escaped from Paris after November and was captured by Belgian police 4 months later. Oh, yeah. Now, the Syrian connection. Abrini recounted his time in Syria. According to travel records, he traveled from Brussels to Istanbul, Turkey, on June 23, 2015. He then went overland to Raqqa, ISIS's de facto headquarters in northern Syria. His younger brother had been killed fighting for the terror group, and according to their mother, Soleimani's death had deeply affected Abrini. In a text found on his computer after the Brussels attack, Abrini said his brother's death had driven him toward religion. And this is according to CNN affiliate BFM TV. While in Raqqa, Abrini met Abdelhamid Aboud, the man who organized the Paris attacks and was later killed in a shootout with police in the Parisian suburbs of Saint-Denis. Aboud in the beginning was just a normal fighter, but he rose through the ranks to Amir, Brini said in the interrogation. He had 1,000 men under him, many of whom were Belgian and French. Yeah, let that sink in. Many of the 1,000 men, just this one person, had underneath him were Belgian and French. All right. Abrini told investigators, according to VTM's account, that Aboud had sent him to the United Kingdom, where he picked up the equivalent of $3,800 in Birmingham, a sum destined for Aboud's younger brother, who was also in Syria. 5 people arrested in Birmingham in April. While in England, according to VTM's account of the interrogation, Abrini visited a football stadium in Manchester and took photographs. In his interrogation, he said the photos have had nothing to do with the reconnaissance of the stadium, so no link should be drawn. And this was where same stadium where 3 suicide bombers blew themselves up in November. Abrini paints himself as a reluctant jihadist. According to VTM, he claimed that although he knew something was being planned in Paris, he didn't do anything himself. Abrini was identified on surveillance video at a gas station in France 2 days before the attacks, accompanied by Salah Abdeslam. BTM reports that in the interrogation, Abrini told investigators that at a certain point he couldn't back out of the network, but that he regretted being dragged along. Several times he was asked to stay in Syria and fight, but I didn't like that idea. I'm not the guy to blow myself up or shoot people. So even so, Abrini appears to have shown little sympathy for more than 150 people killed in the 2 terrorist attacks in Brussels and Belgium. Or Paris and Brussels. Brussels is Belgium. And he also said the victims were doomed much earlier, namely at the moment France declared war on the Islamic State. Abrini and Ali Ukadi, another man suspected to be associated with the Paris attacks, have been handed over to French authorities. Under a European arrest warrant issued by France. Did I mention terrorism doesn't take a day off at all? All right, we're going to take a brief commercial break. Got to pay those bills. And then I'll be back with you and we will wrap things up. You know it's going to be a wonky day with that technical glitch. All right, let's go pay them bills.
You can lay down if you wanna. You can run away if you wanna. You can pretend that this is totally okay if you wanna. You can play dead if you wanna. Forget what they said if you wanna. Turn your back on the country needing you right now, but I don't wanna.
If you want to work until you keel over, have less of everything in retirement, or give back more of your hard-earned money to the stock market again, then just ignore me. But if you'd like to protect the money you save, receive a steady, predictable retirement income, and enjoy financial security for as long as you live, then listen to this. You can download a free report that reveals the wealth-building secrets Wall Street and the banks don't want you to know. You'll learn how you can get guaranteed growth, safety, and real prosperity without risking your money in the Wall Street casino, and how to get the money you need when you need it, simply by asking for it. This is the best way to have a 100% secure retirement and know your money will last as long as you do. To learn more about this method and to get your free report, go to 29security.com. That's the number 29security.com. 29security.com. Go to 29security.com. Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
Prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
You can lay it down if you wanna. You can run away if you wanna. You can pretend that this is totally okay if you wanna. You can play it dead if you wanna. Forget what they said if you wanna. Turn your back on the country needing you right now, but I don't wanna.
All right, now that we got those commercials out of the way, I've got another story. You know I've always got another story. In fact, yesterday I had so many other stories, I held you over. All right. The U.S. named about 10 to 12 people and individually sanctioned them over human rights abuses in the country of North Korea, officially called the People's Democratic Republic of Korea. Have you ever noticed countries that say Democratic Republic aren't? All right. Now, I've got some audio, and then we're going to discuss what North Korea put out.
For the first time ever, Kim Jong-un just got sanction slapped by the U.S. But it's not because this country claims to have nuclear weapons or because it tests lots of ballistic missiles. It's because Kim Jong-un is a tyrant to his own people. Human rights in North Korea have been under the microscope for years, and a new U.S. government report shows just how bad things really are. It estimates as many as 120,000 people are trapped in a network of political prison camps in the country, and that citizens are tortured, sexually assaulted, starved, and executed. The U.S. holds Kim Jong-un and nearly a dozen other top officials responsible for this. The U.S. has filed similar sanctions against other world leaders: Zimbabwe's Robert Mugabe, Libya's Muammar Gaddafi, and Syria's Bashar al-Assad. In all of these instances, human rights violations are what prompted the sanctions. For Newsy, I'm Katie Link.
All right, that audio was, of course, from Newsy. Now, I have not seen an update on the bomb blast in Iraq. I am watching several news feeds. I did check up on it while we're at commercial break. Now, back to North Korea. So, North Korea on Thursday called the new United States sanctions a declaration of war, one day after the State Department for the first time named leader Kim Jong-un for human rights abuses. The reaction was announced by the Korean Central News Agency, according to Reuters. It was at least the fourth time this year that the recluse nation which has nuclear weapons, used such language after actions by the United States or South Korea. The latest comment came after the State Department imposed sanctions Wednesday on Kim and 22 other North Korean officials and entities over human rights violations that include systematic torture, forced labor, extrajudicial killings, and rape. The officials were also accused of tracking down and killing defectors who fled the country. Many of the abuses were committed in political prison camps, which hold 80 to 100,000 prisoners and family members. All right, let's rewind and just briefly touch on this. If you are sent to a prison camp in North Korea, they don't just send you. They send you, your wife, your kids. They may send your parents, your brothers, your sisters, and their families. Oh, yeah. There are children who are born in these prison camps and die there and never know life outside this. And I think that is tragic. In April, North Korea called a U.S.-South Korean military drills an open declaration of war. Similar phrase was used late February when the U.S. and South Korea were preparing for those drills. North Korea at the time warned it could reduce U.S. military installations in the Pacific to ashes. And the quote read, "Let's turn Seoul and Washington into a sea of fire." The Korean news agency used the phrase again mid-February when South Korea pulled out of the Kaesong industrial plant, run jointly by the North and South to protest the North Korea missile launch. North Korea conducted its fourth nuclear weapons test in January and used a long-range ballistic missile test to put a satellite in orbit in February. The two tests drew condemnations by the United Nations Security Council, which called on North Korea to suspend all nuclear missile tests. All right, 1. When has a UN sanction meant more than diddly? 2. When has it stopped anyone from doing anything? And 3. Where's the backbone on a UN sanction? All right. So, yeah, UN sanctions. Although I will say there is one notable thing about this. China joined in on this round. China did join in. For that, I praise them. All right. Hang on. Something just came across my phone. Give me 2 seconds here. This is relating to the bomb blast. Give me just a moment. Okay. Nope. Sorry, it was nothing new. It was just the same stuff I'd already mentioned about the bomb blast being rehashed. So, all right. we are getting back to North Korea. All right, if North Korea actually attacked us every time they said, that's an act of war, war. Oh my gosh. Maybe we could then go in and, no offense, wipe them off the planet. Now, why do I view going in there and wiping a ruling party or government off the planet versus the Middle East? One, Korea is actually a divided country. It is not. North and South Korea have their squabbles and spats. It is a divided country. It could, in theory, unify. However, I will say that some South Koreans aren't too keen on it because they saw what happened with Germany. The economy tanked. So, all right. Now, I've got a couple more stories I want to touch on. There's one, I just don't have time to do it justice. Maybe I'll do a Saturday slowdown with it, because I'll bet I can dig up a little bit more on this topic. It is the topic of former Gitmo detainees. So, just on a side note, and this just ran across my screen, other people being charged for disseminating classified information are going to cite Hillary Clinton's case. So not only did she get off, others may as well, because she wasn't charged. It is precedent. All right, there are new, stricter sexual assault laws in Germany, and they are making refugee activists uneasy. As I'm not a German citizen and don't reside there, I think it's kind of a good thing, but, you know. After mass sexual assaults in Cologne on New Year's Eve, the German parliament voted Thursday in favor of stricter sexual assault law that could ease deportation rules for refugees convicted of sex-related offenses. Now, hang on. The new law sharpens punishments for anyone convicted of sexual assault regardless of nationality. But it specifies jail, then deportation rules for convicted refugees who have sought asylum in Germany. The changes appear aimed at two overlapping targets, closing loopholes over sexual assaults amid complaints that German codes are too lax, and addressing mounting public backlash after the country absorbed the bulk of the wave of migrants and refugees from the Middle East and beyond last year. But some lawmakers and activists oppose linking the two issues, claimed it could further stigmatize refugees and others as German public opinion increasingly turns against them. So far, the perpetrators have proved to have made threats or used physical force to be convicted of rape in Germany. Experts have long argued that the country's criminal code lags behind those of most other developed countries, where sexual assault is more broadly defined in cases such as non-consensual contact. In a detailed analysis, Germany's Association of Women's Counseling Centers said that in 2014 it had found dozens of cases in which sex offenders had not been prosecuted because of legal loopholes. Alright, I don't like loopholes that let people off. No. No means no. And that's essentially what they're doing. The new law will be based on the premise that no means no, meaning that sexual assault can be punished as rape if the offender ignores the discernible contrary will of the victim. The parliamentary vote came on the same day that a court in Cologne sentenced two men in the New Year's Eve assaults. Iraqi national Hussein and an Algerian Hassan were handed suspended 1-year sentences. Suspended 1-year sentences. All right. I am grateful that Germany did this. Yes, I know I have about 10 minutes left. I was checking the time. Yeah, I'm going to run a little over top of the hour, but I checked. There's no one on my heels. The next show to air tonight, new or live, I don't recall which. Let's see. It will be Wake Up America Radio. So that will be on in about an hour. So you'll have enough time to grab a bite to eat and settle in. So, all right. Let's see. I had something else pulled up. All right. Let's take a trip through my mailbox. I've always got something in my mailbox. You know that. We are going to pull up my mailbox. Take me just a second. Ooh, what was that breaking news update? State Department reopens the probe of how Hillary Clinton and her advisors handled classified information. Cool. Doubt anything will come of it, but it's nice to see somebody at least said or did something. All right. We've got the North Korea thing again. Let's see. On July 6th, there is a North Korean government spokesman that gave a statement on North Korea's terms for denuclearization. This is a new one. The U.S. nuclear weapons in South Korea must be publicly disclosed. All nuclear weapons and bases must be eliminated from South Korea, and that this is verified before the world. A guarantee be made that the United States will never again introduce means of nuclear strike to the Korean Peninsula and its surrounding areas. A firm commitment must be made that nuclear weapons, acts of war that mobilize nuclear weapons, will not be used to threaten or blackmail North Korea or against our republic. Aha, here's another good one. The withdrawal of U.S. force from South Korea must be declared. Yeah, I don't think so. Now, South Korea's response to all this, which is a new one that I hadn't come across without checking my mailbox. South Korea plans to double the number of anti-North Korean loudspeaker stations south of the demilitarized zone in retaliation for the North's recent series of ballistic missile provocations. Currently, South Korean military operates 11 static loudspeaker stations along the DMZ to broadcast messages critical of the North Korean regime as part of the South's psychological warfare campaign to inform North Korea's soldiers about life in North Korea and in South Korea, and to entertain them with South Korean music and programs. Okay. Broadcasting across the DMZ is a time-honored, annoying tactic that both sides have used over the years. The North and South previously stopped their border psychological warfare operations, but it sounds like they're starting up again. Okay, what else is in my mailbox? I'm a-scrolling. You never know what I'm going to find. We already discussed the dinar, the golden dinar issued by the Islamic State. Obama's agreed to more military coordination in Syria. This one's interesting. It's Obama planning to leave Plans for Obama. How Obama's plans for leaving Afghanistan have changed again and again and again. All right. Just waiting for the page to fully load. All right, let me see if I can get this to pull up. All right. Originally, it was by July 11th, 2014, the Afghan people were responsible for their own security. May 14th, at the beginning of 2015, were approximately 9,800 U.S. service members. By the end of 2015, we'll reduce that presence by roughly half. 1 year later, our military will draw down to a normal embassy presence. March 15th, we will maintain our current posture of 9,800 troops. That's March 2015 through the end of this year. All right, I'm kind of going backwards. Let's see. In October 2015, I've decided to maintain 9,800 troops in Afghanistan through the most of next year. By the end of 2016, we will maintain 5,500 troops. In July 2016, the United States will maintain approximately 8,400 troops in Afghanistan through the end of my administration. So, we go from July 2011 to 2014, we're out of here. May 2014, the beginning of 2015, we will have about 9,800. By the end of 2015, we're going to cut that in half. March 2015, we're going to stay about where we are. October 2015. We got 9,800. We're going to slash that in half. All right. Hang on. Yes, something just flew across my phone. Let me see if I can find it. It was about the attack, and I believe it was up to 20-something dead and 50-some-odd killed. I am working on pulling it back up. I told you, I will react to something like that live on air, even if I don't have all the facts. I'll bring you what I can. And you have to realize that it's just me sitting here. I am doing this as I go. Alright. Other than the death toll, I'm not finding any new information. Alright. I know. We're almost at the end of our time. Let me finish on this Afghanistan. So, a year ago, he's like, we're going to cut our number of troops in half. Now he's kind of going, we'll just drop it by 1,000. And the next administration can sort it out. Leaving a lot on the plate for whoever takes that office. I'm not going to get into the U.S. politics. No, we are not going there. All right. I'm looking to see. Just had a good one on my radar. Let's pull it up. Russia could be using trust-building exercises to send spy planes over North America. Let me pull this up in full. Taking just a second. Got to get the web browser working. For years, Russia and the West have been flying spy missions over each other's territory, and for years, both sides have been okay with the mutually agreed upon snooping. But Russia is taking spying to the next level, and American lawmakers are worried. Since 2002 ratification of the Treaty on Open Skies, 34 nations, Canada, America, most of Europe, Russia, and Turkey have flown observation missions over each other's territory, largely as a trust-building exercise between the two sides previously divided by the Berlin Wall. The optical sensors on board the surveillance plane allow all countries in the treaty to ensure their neighbors aren't building up troops along their border ready for an offensive strike. Last February, Reuters reported Russia was moving to upgrade its surveillance aircraft with high-tech digital sensors. Last month, an expert panel that manages the treaty signed off on Russia's new surveillance cameras. With the new digital cameras, Russia will be able to maintain this technological advance over Canada, Italy, France, UK, and the US, who still use analog cameras. America eyed the move as provocative but not surprising. A 2015 report from the State Department quoted in open letters suggests that Russia is simply ignoring the certain caveats of the treaty. To make the treaty effective, member states are only allowed to do as many active missions, that is, flying over other countries' territory, as passive missions, allowing another state to fly over their territory. States are also required to share all the information they receive from flights upon request, and they usually allow for an observer from the passive state to oversee the mission. Looks like Russia ain't living up to that end of the deal. Russian defense minister has downplayed accusations. Retired Lieutenant General Buzinski, who previously handled the treaty for Moscow, said the American fretting was largely misplaced. U.S. Congress is U.S. Congress. There are many people there who do not fully understand the treaty or how it works. He told the treaty, everyone adheres to the treaty, everything was fine, everything remained as it used to be. Russia simply switched to digital. The entire concept is a bit outmoded with the proliferation of high-quality satellite imagery. Citizen journalist Elliot Higgins, under the pen name Bellingcat, has even managed to track down military assets with open-source data. He and a team of researchers from around the globe were able to identify with relative certainty the rocket launcher that downed the MH17 airliner that crashed in the eastern Ukraine. But despite speculation that America withdraw from the treaty outright, effectively cutting off one of the last remaining bright spots in the relations between the White House and the Kremlin, the missions continue. From July 4th to July 9th, the Canadian C-130 aircraft, which is usually used to transport cargo, will be flying over Russia's Far East Yakutia region, with both American and Russian military personnel on board to run the surveillance mission. Alright. Well, my time is up, so I'm out of here!